खुशियाँ जो बांटी नहीं, जितनी बातों में अपनी बढ़े, वो अखियाँ की प्यार जो छलकी नहीं, आंखें खुशियों से झरझर गए।
Deepika.
I'll be moving.
Okay.
Once she walks in.
All right. Let me just introduce the book a little bit. I think a lot of you would have seen this book out there in the front. It's a book that's taken Deepika some time to write, but I'm very glad that it's finally out and we're going to see it today. It says that the book is what we call an inventive, irreverent coming-of-age novel, a not so delightful romp through 1980s and through early 90s India. It talks about growing up at a certain time and in an uncertain India. It speaks of loss, it speaks of love, and it speaks about the journey that it compels us all to make. The Red Helmet is Deepika Shetty, my good friend's debut novel, and it is a fiction title published by Sanchit Art Publications. This is the publications arm of Sanchit Art, which has established its name globally with the excellently curated Kala Sutra series of exhibitions, led by Sanchit Joshin. Now, if I could tell you a little bit more about the book, I would, but I will let Deepika and some other special guest stars for this evening tell you a little bit more about the book. Let me tell you a little bit more about the author. Many of us here already know the author, but for those who don't, visual arts, museum shows, and Bollywood are three areas that Deepika Shetty developed as her beat as the arts correspondent in the Straits Times, and many of you would have read many of her articles, but that's a different voice. The voice we hear today is of a slightly different Deepika, who's grown through the years. Before that, she was with Channel News Asia for about 6 years. She anchored a weekly segment for books on Channel News Asia's breakfast show, then called Primetime Morning, where she was the producer. And in India, she worked for the Times of India and India Today. That's not all that she does. I don't know how she finds the time, but on the literary front, she's moderated at several key literary festivals in Australia, as well as Ubud, Gaul, and Singapore. Saris, as many of you know, are her most recent love, forming the subject of her next book. Just a little heads up there. And her popular Facebook page, Sari Sari, was launched in 2013, and as I can see from the audience here, has galvanized a new interest in the garment in a whole new generation. The Red Helmet, she says, is a debut novel, and one which she says has taken her 23 years to write. Now, I've known Deepika for what, 15 years, is it, Deeps? I think 15 years. Our friendship goes back a long way, but I think we really started becoming friends when we were in Channel News Asia, where she worked the graveyard shift, and I worked the morning shift, and about 10 a.m. we'd get together for coffee and chai, and we'd speak, and that's where the friendship started, and it grew over glasses of vino, over lots of garna khana by the saucy chef, and lots of evenings spent just chatting about all kinds of things. Now, over the years, I've seen Deepika's voice grow in confidence. My voice is not so good today. I'm sorry, I just came back from an early morning flight. So I've seen her voice grow. I've seen a increasingly confident Deepika, not just in her dressing, in the way she speaks, in the way she puts together her voice, and the way she expresses her views. I'm very pleased to have been one of the first few people to have had the chance to read the first few pages she put together of the book, and I must say I couldn't wait to read the rest of the book, and I'm very glad that she put together the book. Now, my main takeaway from the book is that despite the ha-ha hee-hee that a lot of us put up in front of everybody, which is the author's words, not mine, that behind a lot of these ha-ha hee-hees, everyone has a different story, and often there's pain in that story, and the pain could be pain that's inflicted or born or ignored or overcome. And if we can understand a little bit more about that pain, we understand more about people and about life itself, perhaps. Thank you, Deepika Shetty, for the Red Helmet. Now, we'd like to bring the words of the Red Helmet alive on stage. And as many of you know, Deepika is a very strong, staunch supporter of social media. So how better than to have somebody who's a great social media exponent, come up and read to us something from the book. If I could introduce Gauri, better known as B.
Hello, Singapore. It's nice to see so many of you here today. My name is Gauri, and I'm going to be reading out a short passage from the book. I'm sure all of us can relate to it since it's to do with this crazy little thing called love. This could not be happening. Ghee ka dabba was here. 300% pure ghee, I tell you. Not literally ghee, you know. Sweet, fair, lovely Panju boy. He was right here in front of me. By Panju standards, actually by any standards, national or international, he was super hot. Sharp nose, bushy eyebrows, straight out of Africa, super thick hair, and man, killer eyes. This is not something I needed to see now, perhaps never. No, I did not need perfection in a ghee ka dabba, or any other dabba at this point in my life. Replaying in my head my own bonfire of love letters. Remember, broken heart. Remember, remember, remember. Why would he even bother paying any attention to me? Beat me. Much too much was happening, but he was so cute. I could not help but ask, "Excuse me, do you know me?" "Sort of." "What do you mean, sort of? You either know me or you don't." Ghee ka dabba smiles. Perfect pearlies, nice full lips, a mustache. Oof! When God takes his time creating, they do show up looking like this. Like Adonis himself. I can't stop gazing at his light brown eyes. He notices. Then winks. It is enough to shake me up. "What is your name?" I ask again. "Simardeep Singh." "Are you simmering all the time? Where is your turban?" He looks at me and laughs. "Were you born slightly mental?" Thank you. Red nugget.
I'm not sure who Ghee ka dabba was based upon. If he's here, please claim who you are. But if you're not, if I can invite another very good friend to also come up on stage. I think many of you are familiar with her face and her work. She is producer, presenter for BBC World News, regularly anchors Asia Business Report and Newsday from the BBC's... What? My very glamorous and good friend, Sharanjit Lail. Hello. I'm good. Good to see you. Here you go.
Hello, all of you. Great to see you. Can you hear me? This does work? Fantastic. I think you can hear me now. That's great. What Asha failed to mention is that I am also, of course, as you know, of Indian descent, but born here in Singapore. So when Deepika asked me to read this passage, I just said, you know, I'm going to mangle up all the Punjabi words and everyone's going to laugh. So I think she said, no, let them laugh. I think it'll be very funny. So please forgive me as I mangle up the Indian words. But she asked me to read this passage and she sent it to me suitably on Facebook, which is where she does a lot of her wonderful work. You see her on, you know, Sadi Sari all the time and all sorts of amazing things. I think Deepika is amazing on Facebook, and so does my mother and everybody else who follows her. So here we go. This is the passage about Nani. Now, Nani would complain every morning about us not being very cultured, no manner shama, no discipline. Anger was absolutely no issue for her. She was angry about everything. The water cuts in summer, her green garden would suddenly start looking brown, the load shedding, the rising prices. And the prices decay, they now to the cold drink day. She would start her complaint loop with egg prices, followed a close second by the fizzy drinks we loved drinking to beat the summer. Now, this discursive trend would then extend logically to other incidental rising prices. It wasn't like she was short of money. As a war widow, she got our grandfather's pension. She had enough land and enough gold on herself to make her an easy target for anyone with even a mild affliction for bling. Now, she carried stack loads of rupees packed in separate stashes that went into 5 different pouches of varying sizes for her handbag. One evening, when she went for her egg shopping, she was carrying a grand total of 10,000 rupees in many of these pouches. The men on the scooter must have been watching her for days. They must have been pulling out her various small stashes of rupees from, oh dear, I've lost my spot. Hang on. This is typical Facebook, hang on. 77. No, I can't see. I need glasses, hang on. Okay, oh, anyway, I'll skip forward. And she goes, well, she said she heard nothing, and the next thing she knew, the handbag was holding in the crook her right arm was gone. Nal, 10,000 hajar rupee, haye ande. With that, 10,000 rupees and those eggs. Followed by a string of colourful Punjabi expletives, too colourful to bear repetition for the cultured classes. She was hysterical. She kept repeating this line about going out to buy eggs and losing 10,000 rupees. This abusive, expletive-laden, repetitive streak was completely in character with her character, who had a fondness for repeating things. We had to go to the police station with her because she was in no state to walk alone. The lines in a loop. She must have said the same thing over 100 times, not giving the cop on duty a moment to get a word in. How she had all these various pouches of various shapes, sizes, and colours, how they all contained cash, how she made sure it was split so not one of them went missing. She would be able to reach out for money in the other. She did this because she had not visualized, worst case, in this case, the entire handbag being stolen. I was almost beginning to feel sorry for the cop. Like us, he had been listening to this saga for nearly an hour. I'm sure he had many more important cases to attend, but Nani, being Nani, didn't believe in pauses. When the cop finally spoke, he had just one question. Biji ane paise ande vashte? You took so much money to buy eggs. Well, we should not have laughed. It was seriously not funny, but we could not stop. She had her police with the promise of no guarantee of the bag ever being found, meaning the money was gone. I think it was not so much losing the money, it was our wrong laughter moment which got onto her. On our longest walk back to her home, she did not let us hear the end of it, after which she never let us forget the day we laughed when she lost 10,000 rupees. Passe de no value, she scolded us in her Pinglish. You know, when Punjabi meets English. Thank you for putting up with my mangling Punjabi.
Thank you, Shiranjit. Deepika can never make fun of my Guju-influenced speaking again, because now she's had you speak. And I'm sure we all have nanis like that. Okay, for the third reading, I'm very pleased to invite artist Narayan Chandra Sinha. I think many of us know him from his jewelry, but today he's traveled the distance all the way from Calcutta just for this event, and I see that some people here are already wearing his jewelry. Please.
Namaskar, Shubho Shonda Bandhura. Namaste and good evening. I'm very nervous. I'm reading few lines from Deepika's book, Red Helmet. As soon as I step out of the plane, I can't feel the ground beneath my feet. I feel like I'm still floating above the clouds. As soon as the glass door automatically swings open and I see the sign, "Welcome to Changi Airport," the aroma wafting in the air makes me feel high without the glass of wine. The floor is carpeted. There are flowers in all the right places, and I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm so nervous. Okay, I'm dying to go to the loo. Oh.
You can.
More aromas breathe through the air. There is a cleaner boy cleaning what looks sparkling like clean to me. I have never in my life, not that my life has been too long, since public toilets like this. I can so live in this city. Yes, this can be home. This was exactly the emotion I experienced when I landed in Singapore. Cleanliness, flower, proper synchronized city. I'm so happy here for Deepika. Thanks, Deepika, and best of luck. Thank you.
How was your experience at Changi Airport, Narayan?
You're the same.
Okay. Well, we've heard from three very unique individuals. Perhaps it's time to hear now from the author herself. Deepika, please. Come.
I can tell you I'm as nervous as everybody else who's come up on stage, but there are 3 copies of my book here, so I guess